Have you ever wondered what draws people to a certain comic book character? Hey YouTube, it's Matt here. And like I said in the introduction, let's have a discussion on what draws people to certain comic book characters. What about these characters and how they're written makes people want to read more about them? Now, before we go too far in this idea of this video was posted to me by a subscriber by the name of TNT. So I want to say thank you for this great idea. But guys, like we talked about, there are a lot of reasons and a lot of characters that people really like, that they are drawn to. And this is one of those hobbies where people have a lot of, quote, favorite characters, ones that they kind of steer themselves to reading more of. Now, this is a comic book channel, and we're talking about comic books, but honestly, you could take this with any type of a fiction story and sometimes a non-fiction story of what draws human beings to want to read more and hear more about certain characters. Now, we're going to talk about some big ones and what attributes that they have. And I'm going to start talking about the first one, the very first superhero, if you will, Superman. Superman first appeared in Action Comics #1, which was printed in 1938 by DC Comics. Now, what makes Superman kind of special and people like to follow him is he's the ideal to strive for. Superman always does. He always tries to do what is right. And that's why people really like him. His powers are not what make him a superhero or aren't what make him heroic. The way they write him, he's always trying to do the right thing. He definitely has a kind heart that people want to see more of. Without a doubt, Superman is a very positive character that it's easy to get drawn into. And because Superman was the first superhero, he's kind of the blueprint. So Superman has a couple things going for him. He's very positive. He always tries to do the right thing. And hey, he was first. So there weren't a whole lot of superheroes out in 1938 for kids to read and get into. So Superman's one of those characters. People follow him for the positivity. Now, let's flip the switch. Batman. Batman came out the following year. Batman came out in 1939 in Detective Comics #27. Superman got his powers from the sun. Well, Batman is completely opposite. Batman has no superpowers. Batman draws his inspiration from the dark of life. Batman suffered a horrible tragedy where his parents were murdered when Batman was a young person. Now, Batman did get some attributes from his parents. They taught him to care about people that were less fortunate than Batman. So, Batman is always striving to overcome the wrongs in this world, and he uses the night to cover himself. So, why we talk about Superman being a superpower and like being the ideal that we should all look up for, Batman's completely different. Batman is completely human, and he's always trying to right wrongs in a dark world. So they are really two opposite characters, and they're both printed by DC in the 1930s. So it's not hard to see where these characters came from. So there is a complete yin-yang to Batman and Superman. Now, let's move this a little bit different. Now, you have a character, Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider came out in August of 1972. His first appearance was Marvel Spotlight #5. Ghost Rider is completely different. Ghost Rider is the heavy metal comic book character, if you will. The guy runs around and slashes people with chains, rides a motorcycle, flaming skulls. Tell me if that's not heavy metal rock and roll all rolled into one. But Ghost Rider, he also kind of shows you that, you know what? You can do wrong in this world and you can make bad decisions and you can still atone for those decisions. And that's basically the story of Ghost Rider, where he does go, and he's a superhero, kind of, maybe a little bit anti-hero. I don't know what you want to classify him as, but he definitely tries to do the right thing. Ghost Rider might not be the classic superhero that Superman is, but you can still see when you read him that he's trying to do the right thing, but he does it differently, where Superman will try to do the best possible, save everybody, even the bad guys Superman's trying to save. Ghost Rider's different. He isn't worried about saving bad guys. He wants redemption. He wants redemption for evils that were done. And a lot of people are drawn to that type of a character because they can see themselves in that type of world. Guys, let's be honest. Superman, again, he's the idea to shoot for, but he's not real. Like, we live in a real world where people aren't one-dimensional. Nobody is completely good on all facets of their life like Superman is. Some people are drawn to Ghost Rider because he shows a different way of combating evil. He is very violent and he goes for redemption. And somehow that does resonate with people where they would like to see wrongs being righted. And sometimes they want that violence, that eye for an eye. So Ghost Rider's a fun read for a lot of people. Now, in keeping with the anti-hero vigilante theme here, we're going to start talking about the Punisher. Now, the Punisher's first appearance was Amazing Spider-Man 129. Now, this came out in 1974. Guys, are you seeing something happening in the 70s with the anti-hero movement here? So Punisher was different than Ghost Rider, but not that much. He still dealt with violence and he still took care of the bad guys in his own way. Now, Frank Castle, the character that is Punisher, his family was murdered. He had a wife and 2 young kids that were murdered by the mob because Frank's family saw a murder. Now, Frank wanted to get vengeance, again, hear that word, and redemption to get back at these bad guys. But he didn't just stop with the mob. Frank Castle ended up, becoming a very popular Marvel character, and he is an anti-hero, and he definitely is very violent. Again, just like the Ghost Rider, in his own way, he's trying to do good, and that's how he's written, but he goes about it in a different way. Batman, for the most part, in most of the old DC Golden Age, Batman wasn't trying to hurt anybody, and he would even say villains, but he got his inspiration from vengeance. Now, I know Batman has been written completely different in the last 30 years, and honestly, I kind of like Batman a lot more now than I did in the Golden Age. But that he was, trying to do the right thing at all times. Same thing with Superman. But the vigilantes, they were just absolutely trying to, take care of the bad guys any way possible. Another hero that a lot of people are drawn to, but for a different reason, is the Black Panther. Now, the Black Panther is one of the first African American or black superheroes out there. And he related to a crowd that, whenever you go back to 1966, there were not a whole lot of black superheroes in comic books, or even black characters at all. So whenever that face came out on there, a lot of kids saw that and they were drawn to the Black Panther. And guys, I love the Black Panther. Black Panther is just a great character. He is very noble. He's the king of Wakanda, but he's just so majestic in the way he talks and the way he carries himself. He's a very fun character to read about and follow. So he's not a hard person to want to look up to because he's always trying to just do the right thing. Another character that might be geared to a younger audience is now really hitting the market in the last 10 years, and I'm talking about Miles Morales. Miles Morales is the new Spider-Man. He came out with Ultimate Fallout number 4, which was printed in 2011. Miles Morales, yes, I say he's the new Spider-Man. He's a different Spider-Man in a different universe. And there is some crossover that's happening more and more in the comic book lines. But Miles Morales is written in a way that younger readers can relate to a little bit more. Some of these characters that I've talked about have been around for most of a century. Superman, 1938, Batman, 1939. They've been around for a long, long time, and it's kind of hard to relate to if you were born in the year 2001 or 2002. You get my point. If you are a younger reader. So whenever 2001's Ultimate Fallout number 4 came out, and there was a fresh take, a fresh voice, somebody that wore Beats, somebody that listened to modern music, that lived in modern times, was now fighting crime, finding out he had these superpowers, that was exciting for a lot of readers, young and old alike. So some people like to follow a character because they can relate to them in age. Now, we're going to get on to two of my favorite characters here, Spider-Man and Conan. You guys, if you've been watching this channel long enough, you definitely know that I like Conan. But the truth is, Conan and Spider-Man are 1A and 1B. And I really don't know which one is A and B because I really enjoy both of them. I think I'm more known for the Conan because it's more of a niche type of collector, hobbyist, if I will. But everybody collects Spider-Man, okay? So I'm just a run-of-the-mill guy if I'm talking about that. But people really like to hear about Conan. So I'm going to start talking, why do I follow Spider-Man? One of the things that I like about Spider-Man is he's completely relatable. It's easy to see yourself in Spider-Man's shoes. Whenever he first moves out of Aunt May's house and he's worried about paying the bills as he's taking pictures for himself for the Daily Bugle, it's kind of relatable. We all can remember those days when we first moved out of our houses and moved on to our own, and oh my goodness, there was, a whole life of challenges ahead of us. Well, they write Spider-Man in a way that he has to deal with it. I absolutely love Spider-Man in the fact that he's always trying to do what is right, and he takes care of his loved ones. Those are fun attributes for me to want to read, and I want to know more about this character. He's had a lot of great writers over the years, and too many to honestly name. The character has been around since 1962, so there have been a lot of great writers that have added to the Spider-Man mythos, but I definitely like his real life struggles. I like how he cares about his loved ones and close friends. I love how he just always tries to do the right thing. Not hard to want to follow Spider-Man. Now, let's start talking about my other favorite character, Conan the Barbarian. Now, Conan the Barbarian is a completely different type of character than your typical Marvel or DC superhero spandex wearing guy. Conan the Barbarian is not ever trying to harm anybody. He doesn't have the intention of going looking for trouble. But he has goals and he will not be, stopped. Nothing will get in his way with his goals. That being said, and again, he's not trying to hurt people, but he won't back down from a fight. Somebody does wrong by him, he'll pull out a sword and absolutely attack them. He's not afraid to use violence whenever it's needed. Now, what a lot of people don't understand is if you watch the Conan the Barbarian movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, a movie that I very much enjoy, the Conan in the stories is completely different. Conan is very thinking. He's very wily. He's, he is a leader. He's a big traveler. He goes all over the world. He goes on these major adventures and he just keeps on making his way. Now, no matter how hard of a situation Conan is in, he doesn't ever give up. And there's a lot of, stories where Conan's stacked against the odds. And they're written so well, especially by Robert E. Howard, that it's not that Conan is just a superhero and it just pulls out his Superman strength and beats everybody. It is written in a way where it is realistic to see how he overcame these situations, little bit by little bit in order to survive. So Conan's a survivalist, that he will do what it takes to keep moving forward, keep going, attaining his goals. Eventually, he moves on. He goes from a young kid all the way up to where he's an actual king of a large empire, in the Hyborian Age, which is a mythical land 10,000 years ago. But that that wanting to just keep going forward and survive, that is what I enjoy about Conan. Now, guys, I just gave you a handful of superheroes and comic book characters and why some people might want to like them. There are so many more. I couldn't name all of them. I don't have enough time to name every type of character out there. But if you guys want to, tell me what characters you like and why you like to read those. And again, I want to thank TNT for this great video idea. Guys, I hope you liked this video. I hope you like the content of this channel. If you do, hit that thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And guys, put a comment down below. Again, like I said, let me know your favorite characters and why you like to follow them. Guys, I want to thank you for watching, and everybody have a great day.